This is Wayne Bennett from ECRM. Today I'm joined by John Laughead, who is the Program Sustainability Manager at Ahold Delhaize USA, which is the parent company of many banners and brands that you all know: Food Lion, Giant Hannaford, Stop and Shop, and many others, including Peapod. Let's not forget Peapod. I'm excited to have John here today because we're talking about sustainability and packaging in that regard. And Ahold Delhaize USA is one of the leaders in the conversation leadership design of sustainability programs and opportunities. And they have a pretty extensive goal to work towards zero plastic waste by 2025, so that making all of 100% of their own brand portfolio 100% recyclable, reusable, and compostable. And John is here today leading the charge in that effort. John, I really appreciate you being here. Thanks for joining.
Wayne, thank you so much for the opportunity. First and foremost, this is something that's truly exciting for us. I'll kind of start out with a quick story.
Yes.
In 2018, in the fourth quarter, our global CEO, Franz Mueller, challenged our operating companies and our brands globally by making us a signatory to the Ellen MacArthur New Plastics Economy commitment. Wayne, at that time, it was something that single-use plastics was something that was certainly important to our overall strategy. But we had some opportunities, to say the least. So over the last 24 months, we've really had the opportunity to work alongside industry partners like yourself, Wayne, and a lot of our wonderful suppliers to really articulate and drive performance in this single-use plastic space.
Yeah. Well, John, it's a significant goal and opportunity and quite audacious in terms of what you have in front of you. And I know, if we can get right into some of the questions here, I know that reducing single-use plastics has been a major emphasis, and for you and for the industry at large. And over the past 36 months or so, there's many of these goals that you have in front of you. So how did you land on these goals?
Great question. So many of the goals, as we reflect back on that day, fourth quarter 2018, when we became signatories to the Ellen MacArthur New Plastics Economy, a lot of that commitment, becoming signatories, came with goals. We really had a strong ambition, but we needed to drive KPIs. So when we reflect back on some of those goals, or the goals we have today, the first one that stands out is we have a commitment to 100% of our products being recyclable, reusable, or compostable by the year 2025, and that's an Ellen MacArthur New Plastics Economy target. Our second goal is to really strengthen our recycling markets. We hear so often how maybe China has curtailed some of its recycling. How can we bolster US-based recycling infrastructure? Well, the first thing is, our second goal is to spec 25% on average post-consumer content in our single-use plastic packaging on our shelves. So that's another ambition, 2025 ambition, and we certainly have some work to continue that progress. And then the last one, as we bolster, or we do our best to do our part in bolstering those recycling infrastructure components in the US, it's to reduce single-use virgin material. So as we spec that 25% post-consumer recycled content, we hope that virgin use material begins to curtail just a bit. So those are our three targets: 100% reusable, compostable, or recyclable plastic, a 25% on average post-consumer recycled content and packaging, and to do that while keeping virgin material static.
John, thank you for outlining those targets and those goals. They're pretty ambitious again. And what I'm curious to know is, what are you doing to drive performance against these goals? And tell me a little bit about the internal leadership or governance around the attainment of those goals.
Any major corporation, if you're listening today, to drive performance, you have to have governance. You have to have a systematic way of driving performance. So thanks to a lot of our leadership internally, we've built what we described it as our PCE, or a Plastic Center of Excellence. It's a group that's comprised of 4 key or 5 key departments internally, and also engaging our brands. If you think about Food Lion, the Giant Food, the Giant Company, Hannaford, Stop and Shop, we have representation in our PCE, our Plastic Center of Excellence, from each of those groups. We have subject matter experts that evaluate new plastics as they go through our RFP process. So as new materials come in, we have a group that evaluates those. We also have an innovation arm in our PCE, and all that's underpinned by our leadership. We have a leadership group that's really pushing us to drive that performance in the group and really lead. There's no one single department that's responsible for it. It's a group effort at Ahold Delhaize USA.
Yeah, that's terrific. Top down focus on this one.
Absolutely.
Yep. So, John, big goals in front of you, the support of the leadership and the governance to make this all happen. But along that journey, tell me a little bit about the challenges you face.
There's multiple challenges, Wayne, along that journey. Probably the biggest one that comes to mind is just data interoperability with our systems. As we reflect back on that day in 2018 when we became signatories, one of the first things we set out to do was to build a baseline. How much single-use plastic is on our shelves today? And what we quickly learned is we needed more data. We not only needed to know the material type, the resin type of a water bottle, or the weight of that resin, we needed to understand the weight of the lid on that water bottle. We needed to understand the resin type of the lid on that water bottle, the label, the overwrap. So our biggest challenge as I reflect back is just beginning to get that data, understanding we have a gap, and beginning that outreach, understanding the questions, right? We need to ask our key suppliers to be able to procure some of that very, very detailed data. So data, probably the biggest challenge, Wayne.
Mm-hmm. And so along those lines, I mean, how do you avoid the unintentional alternatives when you're looking at that?
Always a big question internally. We certainly want to push progress, but what happens if we move into a regrettable alternative? We do not want to do that. So one of the elements that we created at the end of 2018 and into 2019 is our sustainable packaging playbook for our suppliers. This playbook really outlines expectations at a very high level. We took a triaged approach to this sustainable packaging playbook, yellow, green, and red approach. So what that means to a supplier is if their packaging today is in the green box, hey, it's a good package. It meets our requirements. It's really helping us reach some of these goals in the Ellen MacArthur New Plastics Economy. If it's a yellow, there may be some innovation needed to get that across the finish line. It's good today, but it's a cautionary product. And if it's certainly in that red spot, it lacks some innovation. There's some opportunities there. So it's really speaking to our suppliers in a clear way on what our expectations are.
That's great. John, I'm going to ask you just a quick additional question here. So I know that you lead the conversation with your team internally in the Sustainable Center of Excellence across the different banners and brands, and everyone seems to be focused on this from top to bottom. But if I am a packaging provider, a supplier with sustainability, innovation, capability, design, you name it, what is the best thing I can do to approach Ahold Delhaize USA? Who do I go to? What do I do? How can I best align that to help you achieve that goal?
It's a great question, Wayne. And what I want to, if I'm speaking to the suppliers right now, is if you have that innovative packaging, please use those methods you already have in place. Your category managers, your brand leadership, reach out to them, ask them questions about it. They know how to get in touch with their liaison to the Plastic Center of Excellence. We'll look at that package. We'll evaluate that package. We encourage innovation. We need innovation if we're going to meet these 2025 ambitions. So if you're a packaging supplier and you're watching this and you have a new emerging technology or opportunity for us, reach out to your category manager, reach out to your brand leader, let them know, and they will certainly get in touch with their PCE brand representative.
That's great. And John, I know you and your team will also be attending the March ECRM Packaging Sustainability Program. So we appreciate that as another avenue to connect with packaging suppliers that can bring some of this innovation forward. But John, I do appreciate your leadership first and foremost here, and your guidance and support in getting this message out to lead the conversation. I know you guys have some pretty big, audacious goals in front of you, but what I want to commend is the ability of the focus of the leadership and the path to somehow make this more streamlined for the entire industry. So thank you very much for your time today. I know we could probably talk for another 3 hours, but at least for now, in the true spirit of keeping things simple, we're going to leave it here. So John, thank you very much, and we look forward to chatting again.
Thanks, Wayne.